You can see the date and time here. Video was video recorded yesterday when I was at the father, and I'm going to give you in English in and out about the video. It's really important stuff because it exposes Milan Kučan is visits to the home for elderly people. That's very, very essential for me. Extremely important video I'm going to make in this video, but I'm going to use the video that you see here as a reference to one, right? So I'm going to give you a background of the video, which hopefully is going to contribute to arrest warrant on Milan Kučan, arrest warrant on psychiatrist Petar Kapš, arrest warrant on a mentioned police officers from Novo Mesto police station. Many of whom I have not mentioned, but Milan Kučan, we're talking about the Slovenian Prime Minister Robert Golob. This is the video dedicated to arrest of Slovenian Prime Minister Robert Golob, who engaged in direct torture. In this case here, I'm going to expose direct torture of not only myself, but also of my father at home for elderly people. This is why this video is so essential to me. The video itself is nothing special. The video is how long is this video? This is about 1 hour 35 something minutes long video. I am still uploading one to other channels, but it's nothing so special about the video, except that you can see me witnessing I don't know, let me see, maybe here somewhere have the video in English language about Milan Kučan, Robert Golob,
on my father's face,
presence inside of the home of elderly people, and where I also explain in the video how these people now should definitely be captured. On this video you can see the father, you're going to see the father with the hat on it. I give him a hat. First of all, you're going to see me also with a hat. When I will be giving you a statement, a final statement, you're also going to see me with a hat. My father loves, it's a winter time, for one thing. And the second thing is, when you have a cold, using a hat is just helping you out with the cold issue. That's all there is to it. Same thing as if you would wear warm socks, and I recommend everybody to wear warm socks at night, except make sure that those socks you're gonna wear are not tied, so that you're not gonna develop blood clots or something like that, especially if you have a blood clot problem. Make sure that socks are just simply large, big, and of 100%, if only possible, or as much as cotton blend as possible. So for me, what is special about this video is really, you can see me the way I shift between in elements. I go over the room also. This is a video separate. I did not posted one on the internet yet. Because they're going to transfer my father on tomorrow, basically is Monday. They're going to transfer one to another room, and what they're going to do is they're going to paint this room here. So for me it was very essential to video record in what state the room was, everything. And I was also looking for the spy cameras, because it was all about spy cameras. They claimed me on 1,000,000 occasions during MK Ultra. At least on 1,000,000 occasions, there are going to be spy cameras. They're going to be showing absolutely everything about how I treat father. Those that engage in paranoia were located on the father's floor, nursing staff, reception area downstairs, at the police station Novo Mesto, security from Home for Elderly People. They claimed in the building next to this one, even for mentally disabled people, that they have ability to see me, how I interact inside of the Home for Elderly People and stuff like this. Inside of this room, how I will be interacting, and they had ability to see me during interaction. That's what they claimed during MK Ultra when I was inside of the Home for Elderly People, delivered to the father. And the important news about this news here is that father was tortured. I have the proofs about father being tortured. The proofs are explained somewhat in the video. I'm gonna mention that the room is painted every 5 years. Maybe, but most likely this was the lie from the psychiatrist Peter Kapsch. What likely was painted in 2019, according to psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, was just a portion of the room, and psychiatrist Peter Kapsch demanded from me to break down which portion of the room was painted. It's really screwed up, because if I was to say which part of the room was painted in 2019, I would have screwed myself up, because beginning my grammar school, I was locked into the building next door to this one, high school, where the torture would actively go on. While the torture at this building that you see right there, in the grammar school, I was tortured in the building next to this one. While when it comes to this building here, they have also used another room, the room right below where this room is where also I was tortured. And they also used some other rooms too throughout the facility. They used many rooms, but this was the room where I was tortured the most, or most of the time where the torture would take place was exactly this room, 203. Yeah, so the chances that they had ability to fuck around with the colors, well, asking me about what color is the wall, and if I see it's painted and this and that, which they did repeatedly during MK Ultra, it's more likely than not they were trying to fuck me, to make the statements. There is another issue that's extremely important, and that's this issue here. Do you see this coffee stains here in the wall? It's right next to the father's bed. Let me demonstrate you. So I want you to see you can see the bed. I took a very different approach yesterday. So this is the father's bed. Yeah, you see on the side, that's where the father is, and you can see the wall behind him, and the wall where you see that like tray and stuff like this position on it, it's right behind that. It's like, yeah, right there you go. It's all covered with the stains. It's all nasty. It's all covered with the coffee stains. Well, listen, I don't remember if truly the wall was covered with the coffee stains when it all started in 2022. I am also not going to go over the videos to see that, because going over the videos I easily could see it, right, because I video recorded it. But it's important to note that just with a regular, how can I say, with a regular sponge, right, with a sponge, you can just go and you can just wipe this off the wall, and there will be nothing left on the wall. I am saying this because psychiatrist Peter Kapsch demanded as one of the things for me to identify would be these flecks, these stains with the coffee poured all over the wall. So he demanded from me, he literally demanded from me at this stage, when there would be a painting in the room, to present myself as a paranoid, as a schizophrenic, basically. You know, you can take it just a wet sponge and you can just wipe those stains, coffee stains of the wall whenever the fuck you want. You know what I mean? Now, they've been there for some time now. The point about this stuff is that during MK Ultra, their stains, just the way you see it right there, were there for a very, very extensive amount of time. And they wiped them off, I remember clearly, and they repeated again, whatever the fuck they had going on. So the chances that I would say that this is already since, I don't know, 2015 or something like that, 2014, whatever, I am not saying any of that. I'm just saying that the stains that I'm demonstrating you were used from psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, from Home for Elderly, from the Novo Mesto police station. Therefore, with anticipation, I would state, well, the stains were there since 2014, since 2012, whatever. You know what I mean? They were not. And I'm not saying that. Second thing, I'm not going to be guessing which part of the room was painted, because of the reasons that I stated. They didn't have me in one room. They had me in multiple rooms. Whatever psychiatrist Peter Kapsch had presented to me in 2019 is when he walked me inside of the room and claimed that the room is now painted, prepared for me. He did that shit already earlier. He did this in 2000 and probably what was 14, therefore 5 years earlier. And he demanded from me to tell him, answer him on how many years, if I know, they paint the rooms. That kind of stuff went on during MK Ultra. So I did ask the people today about whether they paint the rooms every 5 years. I was asking young people who answered me they don't know anything about it, and that's a good thing. The thing about it is, and the receptionist stated to me, she doesn't know anything, that I have to ask maintenance people about that stuff, who paints the room and when and this and that. Well, the main thing is for me to say that they try to screw me up with that issue too. I don't think they, also Nurse Janko was the one who demanded, he insisted that is obligatory for every facility, medical facility, to paint them every 5 years and stuff like that. So he came with some kind of paper, amendum, that this is just the way it is. It's per, not only per hospital, but this is for like in general in the hospitals and home for elderly, that this is just a memorandum, this is just the way it is. Every 5 years that this is due to sanitary reasons and stuff like this, that this has to be done and so on. They are playing, as you're gonna realize in a video recording, enormously with alcohol. The entire facility now stinks from alcohol. It seems like disinfection is in a fifth gear. Disinfection process in a fifth gear. My father has his neck completely covered in alcohol, while around his nose, face, I could smell human feces, literally. Father does have a problem. He does not allow, because I tried already to clean him face with the water. You know, I went to get the water and I wet in his face that I'm gonna clean his face, and father was just totally feisty with me. He went completely insane, totally insane with me. Let me see if I can see. This is the way the paranoia is done. You know, ladies and gentlemen, this is a good video. If you're gonna watch this video, it's a good video. Interesting stuff starts, however. Aha. Oh yeah, maybe I should put also. I'm not sure. Maybe I should put this also. Let me see if I can. I video recorded in other video. Heavy alcohol disinfection. It's very important to stress another issue so that you will understand that is another police crime, that this procedure is enforced by the Novo Mesto police, by the police officers from Novo Mesto that are desperate. They try to prove that I'm somehow paranoid. They want me to see things that don't actually exist, no matter what the fuck. So lately I have also posted on the website about how my mom have used the perfume. If you remember, perfume. You see this? Father nurse also is not about mother's perfume lunacy. We're gonna take this out. I did spoke to the social worker at home for elderly people, right? Okay, so we're gonna go here. We're gonna do this here. I'm gonna see this here. If I did this here. Two roommates have died, were killed according to MK Ultra scenario. They disappeared according to MK Ultra scenario. There's no reason for me not to assume that they were not killed. With like 2 weeks apart from one another. That's interesting. They were tenants here in this home for elderly people for many years. That's what makes it interesting. And then the two are killed within 2 week time frame, separated from one another. Those are the two roommates father had. So now the father is alone inside of the room. Yeah, that's quite important for me. I did spoke to a social worker. It was not only right. We spoke about the social worker here too.
The work with the way I do the stuff.
This is a social worker. You can hear me talking to the social worker under this video. I'm going to put two of them here. It was a nurse and it was a social worker about my mother using extensive amount of perfumes, with which she also severely have sickened me. Because this is what the Novo Mesto police, this Slovenian police demanded from her for this stage, so that I would see the painting of the room the way they wanted, so that I would see myself in this conspiracy related to the alcohol issues, claiming how the room was painted in 2019, which I even state that the room on the video here, I came to conclusion really that the room was really painted in 2019. Then I came home, I went over all this stuff, and I reminded myself also of other issues. The room was not painted in 2019. The perfumes, for the perfumes, because the whole home for elderly where my father is stinks from the alcohol. Nurse Janko demanded from me with the psychiatrist Peter Kapsch to declare myself whether is it the perfume from my mother that stinks more, or is it the alcohol that is being used as a disinfector that stinks more? And then they started to suggest me that you see how bad alcohol is and so on. Do you see how bad it is here? You see how it stinks from the alcohol and so on? My mother was forced to apply on herself perfume by Slovenian police, literally. So they would get the paranoia, schizophrenia answers from me, based on beatings, based on brainwash. But what kind of stuff is going on? What the fuck is this? I mean, what kind of police? What kind of case is this? I mean, why are these people still outside? Why are these people not shackled against the floor and taken inside of the ward, inside of the prison system? That's my only question that I have. I mean, is this how you enforce the law? This is what the police officers do? What the fuck are these people still doing outside? They're doing the crime. So the question is, who is paying them? Who is allowing them? Who is financing them? Who is allowing them? And who gives them the right? Because it's not the law. Who is the one that places himself above the law for them to do the stuff like this to me? And to other people, obviously. I don't know about other people. I know about myself, and I watched my father rotten in there already for over 2 years. With my losing no less than 53 years to this scum here from Slovenia, supported by the British Royals, by the Washington DC, by both Republicans and Democrats. What is important to note for me on this video proves about Milan Kučan. On this video I have noted, and I speak, I don't know in what part of the tape, but it's over half, go past 60 minutes to get that out. And you can hear me talking about the Milan Kučan. And earlier I mentioned to you the hat. Yeah, Milan Kučan literally, the way it all started, let me explain how it all started with this stuff here. Why I know that father was tortured. So yeah, they are using a wipes to clean the father around his neck and stuff like this, and around the mouth and stuff like this, because father doesn't allow to be cleaned with the water. So they're using the alcohol wipes and stuff like this. Maybe he is touching himself for the nose, around the mouth and stuff like this, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it. It's a part of the game. It's a part of the game. Imagine have a relative like this. I wasn't gonna go and kiss my father on his lips and stuff like that, but it's not good stuff, is it? I'm gonna put it this way. Milan Kučan demanded for me to be tortured based on father requesting a torture done on me. How much did father had to do with it, I do not know. All I know is they started to heavily torture me inside of this room. In 1995, as soon as I departed to United States of America. Just 3 years later, however, because this is the way it works, and they wanted to have between me and my father as toxic a relationship as possible, they started to ask me 2 years later about why do I think the father is strange and what would I want to have change on the father and stuff like this. The one who started to play a psychiatrist with unlimited ability to engage in a physical violence, literally with the hands-on, use a physical force, which he did, was Robert Golob together with the police officers. And what bothered Robert Golob, where he was searching for excuse a permission, allowance from my side to get father hospitalized, throw him into the hospital and home for elderly people, and start to engage in torture on one, was in... My father was just joking. It's something that would not really disturb me in any way. But it disturbed Robert Golob, Slovenian Prime Minister now. Father referring to me like Dojkerle, father referring to me, are you still in the bed? When are you going to climb out of the bed, baby? In that sense, you know. To me, I didn't give a fuck about any of that. Robert Golob, however, dramatized this and demanded from me, as a form of retaliation, to give him the green light to use that type of torture on to hospitalize, to screw my father up. So they started to physically torture my father in about 97, 98. And I also know so because father eventually got into... Robert Golob got me next to the bed. Father was all drugged up, fucked up, tortured literally. And Robert Golob started to push in his face all kinds of issue while using me next to the bed. So he started to sicken him, like making completely toxic. Make this game of killing against one another between me and my father more interesting, in another words. They wanted us to kill one another, basically. It's like either you're going to be you or it's going to be I. And my father is not brain. He doesn't have a really good character, if you ask me. And he went straight for that shit. And before you know, they started to torture him and they started to torture me. He demonstrated a very, very positive feedback on the torture. He became even more insane. And he was driven inside of the bed, literally for dead. They started to engage in a heavy torture of my father. With even what he was not allowed to wear was a hat on his head. He was the only resident in the home for elderly people where he would be using hat during the sleep. And he did so even in a summertime, even in the spring, even in the fall. He just liked to have it. If you don't have the hair, I don't know how it is, but having hat on, it adds to the comfort, at least also to me. For the Milan Kučan, who was paying him direct visits, was Milan Kučan. Robert Golob was his direct deputy. This, however, presented as an insult. And so when Milan Kučan appeared at Home for Elderly in 99, and he saw the father with a hat on it, it was an insult. It was very bad stuff that went on. They started to tell father that he is mentally retarded and they might actually change their mind, and instead of killing me, they would kill him. This is what psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, I told you about the toxicity, about, mind of the assassin, of the killer that have a free hands basically to harm, to molest, to kill basically, torture. He got anything he wanted in this case. And started to molest my father with the idea that it's not determined whether they're going to kill me or they're going to kill him. So my father was driven even more insane through all this stuff. Already the way it was bad. Now this man started to pay him visitations to the home for elderly people, where my father was on a regular basis physically tortured. If that does make sense to you, that's brutal. That's brutal. My father retired, fishing, hunting, all came in a crosshairs because of this individual who they demanded literally they would go and they would announce his visit. they would announce his visit, and they would demand from my father to be almost like a kurierczyk, like kurierczyk, you know, like a little boy with a red star, like this, you know. Kurierczyk means like a boy from the partisans, like a little baby, laying in the bed rather than fishing, hunting, and literally salute his mentor Milan Kučan that would come for a visit from Ljubljana. They would give him the news. It's a very important, clean this, clean that. They got those nurses and they started to clean. And they started to fuck father that he have to express respect, is what psychiatrist Peter Kapsch went on. That he has to express respect, that this is an elderly person tortured inside of the home for elderly people and is being now demanded to express respect for this criminal here that is a nobody and nothing. Can you fucking imagine you're talking about a nobody and nothing, and my father as a son of somebody who really was something and someone when it comes to partisan movement? Kučan was a fucking loser, a nobody and nothing, a statistic. And nothing special, not from his family, not career-wise, not anywhere even near comparable to the history of my grandfather was the history of his father. It's also notable that this little nobody was born in 1941. His only credentials that he used for the political career were based on fact that he was exiled to the Serbia during the World War II. But that's all there was. But in 1941, this baby was barely born. He did not know anything about even what the war is. War ended in 1945. War ended when he was 3 years old. I don't know if he was 4 years old. Maybe he was 4 years old. My father, however, was born in 1932. My father was already at the train station listed with his father, who was a secretary of the city and a main supplier with the medications of the partisans in the Dolenska region in Slovenia, listed for deportation to either Auschwitz or Dachau. So you have a fucking nobody and nothing coming from Ljubljana and demanding from my father to report himself like a little baby with a red star on his head. Razumem, tovarish Kučan, or otherwise. This is what psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, this is what the Novo Mesto police were doing, engaging in an active genocide also of my father. And, well, then you have it. A brilliant man, Milan Kučan, as he is he's a mind. This is a mind, this is a brain. This is a brain. Figure out, because my father always had the hat on his head. It never was any different. Even when he was young, it was like this. But Milan Kučan figured out that a bronchi asthma patient, my father, is trying to fuck him by using a hat. Imagine this guy with a hat on his head, and that was me right there, right now. Milan Kučan figured out that my father is trying to fuck him because there was nobody inside of the home for elderly other than my father, who would be using hat while laying in the bed. And my father was doing this kind of stuff because a paranoid Milan Kučan who obviously had a right to torture, right? Well, obviously he didn't feel like, because he figured out that my father is trying to fuck him, and did fuck him. No longer would come to the visit to the father. He would only come to the door here, where the entrance is. Let me see if I can get the entrance here from the room somewhere. Yeah, I don't point at the entrance, so the chances are no. There will be no end. There is no entrance anyway. It doesn't matter. My father would, Milan Kučan would only come to the entrance, and as soon as Milan Kučan would see, as soon as that's the entrance right there. I remember him seeing him right there at the entrance only, and as soon as he would see him with a hat, he ran. He would not want to go. He cursed him out and stuff like this and left. And he did so because Milan Kučan claimed that also to my father in my presence that he knew what he was doing. In other words, earlier when I stated nobody had a hat inside of the home for elderly people, yeah, that my father was using a hat for inside of the home for elderly people, so my father, so Milan Kučan would be identified, because it was Milan Kučan who always had a problem with the hat. Nobody else had a problem with the hat. Robert Golub was the one who demanded from my father to behave normal. Normal, you must behave normal. Normal. You torture the individual and you demand from him to behave normal. That was the school from the Slovenian Prime Minister Robert Golub. To my father, you must behave normal. If you will not behave normal, and this and that. And so father always had the hat. There was a fight because of this hat. And they would take hat from the father to the father, and father was visibly annoyed. I don't think any one of you elderly people, if I pin you forcefully against the bed, would enjoy being imprisoned. Would you like the imprisonment? Would you like to be tortured? I don't think so, especially now that you're older age, for this kind of reasons, right? So that you can salute your president when he's coming to visit you, to see how the torture comes along. You not allowed to even enjoy hat on your head. But you feel it's cold or whatever you feel it is, it's not allowed. You must be normal. What is important to notice today in English language when I discuss this issue inside of the room, I must say that it is noted on the video that in English language, when I talk about this stuff, after I explain this issue about the hat, how the father was tortured, and the chances therefore exist, because my father was the only individual in home for elderly people with a hat on his head. Milan Kučan therefore was identified. After they realized this started early. After they realized this stuff, however, Milan Kučan started to involve other people with a hat. Then it was another individual in 2008 or 2008 that also appeared inside a home for elderly people who also had a hat, so that the Kučan would not be identified. In 2006, it was another individual who appeared at home for elderly people that would be inside of the bed. Was a bit blonde, had a blue eyes, that individual. So Milan Kučan turned the whole crime again into collateral direction and protected himself by implanting other people that would start to sleep inside of the home for elderly people with the hats on their head. And today, when I spoke about this issue, I don't know if father understood me or he did not understood me, But he did become positive when I did spoke about these issues. He did become positive about it, maybe as if he would understand. And I am accenting this issue because Robert Golob was the one who claimed father that he will get him killed in front of me. He death threatened to my father, this individual, in case if he would find out that he was using the hat to identify Milan Kučan. He stated in front of me, I will kill you if I learn, by the way, if I learn that you are using the hat to identify Milan Kučan to do something like this. It's not difficult to identify Kučan now from the visitors. I will get you killed. Yeah? So identify means that my father does have some kind of cameras, that somebody is watching him inside of this room. They are closely watching what goes on. Tomorrow it's going to be finished. It's going to be painting. They're going to paint the room, whatever it is, whatever they're using, whatever it is, whatever. Who the fuck knows? God knows. This stuff could be inside of the television that is in front of it. God knows where they have, what they have. Technology is so advanced. He death threatened to my father about if he would learn that my father was using a hat on his head to get Milan Kučan arrested. This is how big friends Milan Kučan really was with my father. They were not friends. They were the enemies, and they were enemies to the bitter end. They were enemies to the bitter end, to death and life enemies. I had it wrong. They were not friends. They were not allies. They were enemies, and Milan Kučan hated him with a passion. And even more so, it was Robert Golob who hated him and hates him. So these are very, very important steps for me to take in respect to the whole thing, because today I learned so much more about what went on inside of this home for elderly people. This is the video you're going to see. I'm going to post right underneath. And this is the video that is all about. And I'm going to see.
What exactly is this? He is an asthmatic and he is bronchitis patient. And this stuff with the alcohol like
yeah,
this,
I explain everything. You're going to see the alcohol and stuff like this. Whatever I stated in the video, more or less disregard. This is the official explanation of the video you're going to see below.
Robert Golob got him inside of the home for elderly people and started to physically torture him, demanding from my father to refrain himself in the future from referring to me as somebody who loves to be inside of the bed. I thought he also does. It's a beautiful thing because my father was so specific, like nobody else inside of the about.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about this. I think the job is going to be very easy now for people. I don't know if it was video recorded, the whole stuff. If the whole thing was video recorded during MK Ultra torture, but I know it was audio recorded. I know that people audio recorded. I know there are audio recordings. The fights from the psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, the fights from the police, which demanded kapa se reče po slovensko, hat from my father down to behave normal and this and that, all that stuff pertains to Milan Kučan. If somebody pinned Milan Kučan against the wall at home for elderly people with something very, very specific that he made the issue out of it, That was my father actually with this hat. I don't think he wanted this. At least till Slovenian police explained him that Milan Kučan thinks he is trying to get him through the use of the hat. I don't think so, by then not, but after the Slovenian police explained him about the use of the hat, my father kind of agreed to fuck Milan Kučan, to get him. Anyways, to get Robert Golob, to grab Robert Golob for the balls. My father wanted to arrest Robert Golob. That is the bottom line. My father stood up against them. And when police explained him this stuff, he positioned himself in a situation where he would start again to demand this hat on his head and stuff like this. My father was already identified as somebody is checkmarked, as good to go, as good to be murdered. I already explained. And for that matter, they have used my mother. They tried to use me through the toxic relationship they developed between me and my father by driving him insane. He was responsive to their torture issues, insanity, and I don't know who the fuck would not be, really. But I was not. I ignored. I always downplayed. I didn't want to have nothing to do with it, unless he did go too far with it. Well, this is how the things are between my father, Milan Kučan, Robert Golob. They're dead enemies. They're bitter enemies. And this is also the reason why they checkmarked him as good to be killed. I hope these people are going to be arrested as fast and as soon as possible, so this man can return home and live his life normally, and so I can have life. I lost it 53 years because of these assassins from Ljubljana. That'll do it for this video. I don't have anything else to say. I'm looking forward to grab this guy, to get this guy in my hands, to demonstrate him that other side of the Auschwitz family, so he can get a taste, he can get a grip on reality from my point of view, because I am definitely not father. I am definitely not father.